Traditional endpoint security operates like a digital bouncer holding a static block list. If an incoming file's binary signature matches a known threat on that list, the software stops it at the door. But that static approach is blind to zero-day vulnerabilities, or fileless attacks, where there is no known signature to check against. Today's adversaries prefer to live off the land. They bypass the bouncer by weaponizing legitimate, built-in operating system tools already inside the network. When an attacker uses a standard administrative utility, like Windows Task Scheduler or PowerShell, to execute malicious commands, the system complies. Because the tool itself is a trusted part of the OS, it never trips a malware alarm. Static signatures are an insufficient defense when the attacker's primary weapon is the system's own architecture. Defeating a fileless threat requires endpoint detection and response, or EDR. This comparison illustrates the shift in defensive strategy. EDR moves the objective away from passing or failing a static hash on the left toward observing behavior over a continuous timeline on the right. Here, a trusted process suddenly spawns a complex encoded script. The core objective is to reconstruct a high-fidelity timeline of system events so a security analyst can understand exactly what occurred, step by step. Modern endpoint security acts as a continuous surveillance mechanism designed to provide the necessary context for a human-led investigation. This visibility begins with a lightweight sensor deployed at the operating system's kernel level. The kernel sensor records process, network, and disk operations flowing into a cloud engine. This telemetry is initially benign, but when the engine correlates a specific sequence of data points, it identifies a malicious pattern, instantly consolidating them into a high-severity alert. When an alert fires, analysts use a process tree. We see explorer.exe branching down into Chrome, which branches into update.exe, with operational counters next to each node. This directional flow answers what happened and how far did it spread. The analyst traces this parent-child relationship to isolate the triggering file from the legitimate host processes, identifying update.exe as the anomalous payload. Expanding its side panel reveals the exact obfuscated command line string the attacker attempted to run. This level of detail exposes persistence mechanisms. A scheduled task instructing a system to create a text file every few minutes becomes highly suspicious when tied to an unknown command line. Isolating the parent-child execution chain allows an analyst to deduce the attacker's initial entry vector. Once the root process is identified, the analyst must determine the execution's blast radius, measuring this spread using telemetry counters for disk and network operations. An unexpected spike of hundreds of disk write operations heavily implies ransomware encrypting files, or an attacker staging data for exfiltration. Similarly, sudden anomalous DNS requests originating from that same process indicate the malware is attempting to contact an external command and control server. The intersection of the process tree execution and these operational spikes upgrades an alert from a suspicion to a confirmed active breach. The immediate technical response to a confirmed breach is to initiate network containment. Network containment cryptographically isolates the infected host from the rest of the corporate network. This severs the attacker's access, keeping a secure shell open to the EDR cloud for remediation. EDR has one primary limitation. Its visibility is restricted to the endpoint itself. Extended Detection and Response, or XDR, expands this boundary. XDR encompasses endpoint data and ingests non-endpoint logs, correlating EDR telemetry with firewall and identity traffic. For enterprise-wide data correlation, this entire flow feeds into a centralized database called a SIEM. Managed Detection and Response, MDR, represents the human layer. This involves outsourcing the alert triage and investigation workload to external security experts. This spectrum of acronyms represents a single objective, scaling visibility from a single laptop out to the entire enterprise architecture. This pipeline operates in 5 steps. An attack executes, and the kernel-level sensor captures the resulting telemetry. The behavioral analytics engine then correlates that raw telemetry into a high-confidence alert. Finally, the analyst triages the process tree, confirms the threat, and executes network containment. Modern network defense has shifted away from the concept of an impenetrable perimeter wall, favoring absolute internal visibility instead. Automated containment and machine learning identify threats rapidly, but EDR platforms are built to support human analysis. The tool provides the precise timeline and event sequence required for an engineer to make an operational decision. Incident response requires forensic reconstruction. Because telemetry maps every operation to a specific process and timestamp, an analyst